in an 8-week randomized controlled trial between normal carbohydrate diets and ketogenic low carbohydrate diets. Those consuming a normal carbohydrate diet gained 2.6 pounds of muscle in 8 weeks. For the folks that were eating the ketogenic low carbohydrate diet, they lost 0.2 pounds of muscle in the same amount of time, on the same amount of calories, with the same amount of protein. Did you guys hear that? They lost muscle. They didn't gain muscle. And why is that? Well, I just recently talked about that quite a bit in a video I did about the secret about intermittent fasting that the powers that be don't want you to know. I explained how these diets don't really kick in ketosis to begin with. They kick in gluconeogenesis. Now, how can you tell the difference? It's simple. If you're following the ketogenic diet and your breath doesn't smell like nail polish remover, you're not in ketosis. What you're relying on is gluconeogenesis. And it doesn't go after fats, it goes after your lean body tissue, your muscle mass. Now, I know this because I started to write a book on weight loss 31 years ago. And it was because I changed my diet 33 years ago. And in a couple of weeks here in Houston, the Game Changers is coming. And it's a bunch of athletes who found the same thing I found 33 years ago. That when you stop eating animals, your performance gets better. You get faster, you get stronger in every area of life. And the great thing about the Game Changers, the one thing that really surprised them the most, is the interest that many people had in this had to do with erectile dysfunction. Do you guys know that your testosterone can go up 20% in as little as 10 days on a plant-based diet? You got to watch this documentary. You can see the blood one day versus the next when you're eating animals and when you're not eating animals. It clearly shows what's happening to you when you're eating animal products. Foods we're not biologically adapted to eat. Now, there's going to be a lot of opposition to this from two main groups. The carnivores, people following the carnivore diet, where that's all they're eating is meat. And then you got the paleo people and the ketogenic people. And of course, you're going to hear testimonies from these people about how it improved their life and how they got rid of diabetes and they lost all this weight and a lot of good things happened to them. And I explain why that's true and why that happens in the video I mentioned moments ago. I also explained the basis behind it in the video I did. I'll put a link down below on that also in a pinned comment in the description box on paleo diets versus vegan diets. And in order to understand why some diets work is you have to understand we're making 5 main dietary mistakes. And if you take those 5 main mistakes and you quit making one of them, you're going to see improvement. You quit making 2 of those mistakes, you're going to see more improvement. Quit making 3 mistakes, even more. 4 mistakes, even more. 5 mistakes, there you go. That's what you want to shoot for. Why settle, right, guys? So with the paleo people, the reason why you see such good results is you're no longer making the last 3 of these 5 mistakes. This is where we're eating plants we're not biologically adapted to eat. That's the 3rd mistake from the agricultural revolution. On a football field, that'd be about the 6-inch line away from where we are now. 100 yards, 3 feet in a yard, 12 inches in a foot, 6-inch line. That's when we made that 3rd mistake. So the paleo people are seeing a lot of good results by not eating plants we're not biologically adapted to eat, especially when they take it to the next mistake we made relative to the industrial revolution when we start processing our food. That's a huge mistake. My God, when you quit eating processed foods, you can almost eat anything and still be get a whole lot better results than you were. And of course, that 5th mistake is the chemical revolution. That's where we started growing our foods on artificial fertilizer, spraying with pesticides. Now, we lose 83% of the sunlight energy that you see beaming on me right now, that we actually store in the nucleus of our cells. It's coherent sunlight energy that our cells then use to communicate and sense that we're all one with everything. I mention that all the time because this is what got us in trouble, folks, when it comes to why we suffer as a species. We're not eating those biophotons. That's what's destroyed. That's what it's called by Dr. Fritz Albert Popp, who coined that way back in 1976. Discovered it in 74, so he's been studying this for over 4 decades. And he knows the more of these biophotons we have, the healthier we are, and the less we have, the sicker we are. So again, when we grow our food on artificial fertilizer, spraying pesticides, genetically modify them, chemically alter them in those ways, we lose 83% of those biophotons. So yeah, the paleo guys, you guys are going to do really good when you quit making those 3 mistakes. And now you think that's the answer, but no, you're still making 2 huge mistakes. And then for the vegans, well, vegetarians, vegans, there's a little bit of a difference. And I would like to think the vegans are more aware of the last mistake, the chemicals, as opposed to the regular vegetarians, because a lot of vegetarians who do it just to not make the second mistake, that's where we're eating the animals, a lot of these guys are just eating potato chips and Cokes. You know, a lot of processed foods, a lot of conventional produce. And of course, the biggest problem with the vegans is they're making the 3rd mistake. They're eating plants they're not biologically adapted to eat. And a lot of them are also eating all the processed foods, a lot of fake foods, a lot of fake meats. But if you are a smart vegan and you know not to use chemicals, and you know not to process the foods, and you know not to eat the animals, then you're only making 2 mistakes. You're eating plants you're not biologically adapted to eat, but you're making that first mistake, and this is where we all fall when it comes to understanding nutrition. And that's the cooking of the food. That destroys these biophotons 100%. So what you're going to see when it comes to the area of nutrition, you'll see all these people doing videos, swearing by their ketogenic diet or their paleo diet, and sure enough, they are getting results because they're correcting some of these mistakes. Why settle for less? Let's correct all 5 of these mistakes. And I know that's not easy for the average person to do. That's why I perfected a 3-step process to solve most of our problems. That first step addresses the willingness issue. That's where we're going to correct these 5 main mistakes on a temporary basis. That's what my solid food vacation is all about, where we drink nothing but freshly made juices, and we have to drink a lot to keep our carbohydrate fuel tank full so we don't lose any lean body mass. Again, this is the reason why people are losing weight on a ketogenic diet. And I even had a commenter recently say, well, John, the ketogenic diet is just high fat. It doesn't mean it's high animal protein. And I understand that. You can even do a plant-based ketogenic diet. But the point here is if you don't consume excess dietary protein, the body needs carbohydrates so bad, they're going to go after your lean body mass. And that's why that study reveals that in 8 weeks, these guys lost 0.2 pounds of fat. They didn't gain 2.6 pounds like the other guys did, who were just making sure their carbohydrate fuel tank remained full. And as far as the protein, there's no magic about how much protein is needed. These guys didn't gain that much protein. I did a video on how much protein do we need to gain muscle, and I'll put a link down below. And it's not that much on a daily basis. These guys barely gained a little bit over a pound of muscle a month, which is hard to do consistently. And when you look at how much we need on a daily basis, that's maybe 5 grams of protein extra a day. I think 4.5 were the numbers to gain 1 pound of muscle a month. So we don't need as much protein as we've been led to believe. And we sure don't want complex animal protein that we're not biologically adapted to eat. That's going to lower our testosterone levels. It's going to damage our kidneys that not only filter the blood, but they filter the lymph system, which is the bathroom to all of our cells. And that's where most of our diseases are coming from, is when that bathroom backs up. And again, I know how confusing this can be, saying, oh, John, I'm doing the ketogenic diet and I lost 60 pounds. I'm no longer diabetic. Can't tell me this isn't working. Well, I just told you why it's working. You corrected those last 3 mistakes. Good job. But why settle, right? When I discovered this knowledge 33 years ago, I quit eating animals. And man, my endurance level skyrocketed. I was so excited. I was going, make it, oh, make it. I can't believe how hard I'm working to be in great shape. And I saw more improvement by changing my diet than I did by adding another 2 or 3 hours of off-court training to my already 4 and 5 hours of tennis that I was playing every day. I said, boy, I'm willing to give up eating animals if I can see this much of an improvement. And why did I do it? I read that book, Eat to Win, by Dr. Robert Hawes, forward written by Martina Navratilova, which I found out later, she bumped it up to the next level. She went raw also. Just like the Williams sisters. When Venus came down with autoimmune disease, and she found out about a raw vegan diet, and she adapted that, and it healed her disease. Folks, there are no autoimmune diseases. Even the word immune is a misnomer. We have a defense system, a cleanup system. That's our lymph system. Remember, our body does it about a bunch of cells, 2 main fluids, blood is the kitchen. It feeds the cells. The lymph system is the bathroom, and it cleans the cells. So we're feeding and cleaning with the blood and the lymph system. And when the lymph system doesn't get filtered, it backs up, and that's the disease process. It's that simple, my friends. So when doctors say you have an autoimmune disease, your immune system is attacking you. No, your bathroom is just simply backing up. You're not being attacked. You're failing to clean your own bathrooms, and it's backing up on you. When you adopt a raw vegan diet, you clean out your bathrooms, and you no longer have waste matter coming back into your tissues. Your autoimmune disease just disappears. Folks, this isn't complicated. Please watch some of my other videos. Watch what is the healthiest diet for humans. It's almost an hour long. I go into a lot of things that you need to know. You need to know the cause of disease. You need to know we have 10 body systems. You have to understand that there is a science and there's an art to healing. You have to understand that we have to address the primary causes. We got to eat our species-specific diet. But we have to realize that that's no longer ideal, and in a world that's less than ideal, might need to modify that somehow in case we've damaged ourselves, or the environment, or we're living in places that don't produce the food we need year-round. Oh, John, this food is seasonal. What do we do? We've got to move to a place where we're designed to live, right? Well, can we do that? I think it's possible at some time. Right now, it's difficult to try to figure out how all this is going to work out. And I've mentioned many times we don't need to focus on that. All we have to do is reach the tipping point. We got to get enough people's attention and help them wake up to realize, look, if you just stop eating animals, look how much better your life is. Now, let's see what else we can do. Let's stop cooking the food and let's see how much better we can do. I guarantee you, it's a huge difference. You see a huge difference when you quit eating animals. But man, when you stop cooking your food, it takes you to another level. And why is that? Because cooking destroys those biophotons 100%. Again, that's the coherent sunlight energy that we store in the nucleus of our cells. In its cellular communication. It's faster than light communication. It ties into an experiment Einstein did called the EPR paradox, which has been duplicated many times, which is what you want in science. Things have to be replicated. And they know that there's something faster than the speed of light. And it's these biophotons. It's how our cells communicate. It's how we feel one with everything around us. And it's why we struggle as a species so much. Because we don't have that sense of oneness that we should. So I'm real excited about the game changers. I'm a little concerned about who they've gotten involved in this to twist things around. Remember, things like this don't come out unless there's going to be some other stuff in there that's going to be garbage. And I already know what some of it is. I may do another video on this Harvard anthropologist that they made reference to. I've already talked about him before. I won't go into it in this video. And I did a video also about the secret UN agenda, vegan agenda, that the New World Order is tricking us into thinking, oh, there's an agenda. They want us to be weakly. No, the Game Changers proves, folks, that you get stronger, you get faster, you perform better in every aspect of your life. When you stop eating food you're not biologically adapted to eat. And of course, one can argue, but wait a second, John, they're still making that third mistake. And I go, you're right, they are. Just think about how exciting that is if we can wake up to the fact that that's also a mistake. And we can correct that also, and again, take our life to another level. And since it takes so long to do this by just correcting these 5 mistakes all by itself, the only way to do this that makes any sense to me is to take a solid food vacation. You get to see results about 10 times faster. Read the comments in all my YouTube's comment sections. Go back, I've done over 775 videos now, mostly in the last 3 years. And they all try to get you to go back to take a solid food vacation. And I love the comments I got yesterday. I had several people saying, I've been following John for several years. I'm just now doing it. I'm on day 20. I'm going to start mine tomorrow. All right. I understand. Making the decision is the hard part, isn't it? That's why I try to come out here every day to try to keep giving you some reasons and motivation to make some changes in your life. Because I know it's worth it. At first, it seems a little daunting. Like, oh my God, I'm going to have to wake up a little bit earlier just to make my juices. Wait till you see what happens to you. It's so exciting. If you think your life is too stressful now to add something in like a solid food vacation, you have no idea the power of a solid food vacation. I've done this over 1,300 days in the last 27 years. And I would never do something that I did not like. And I'll never forget the 7th time I did it and went the distance and got rid of a 20-pound cesspool. I crawled out of a rut I didn't know I was in. That's what it did to my life. On every level, physically, mentally, emotionally, communally. How I felt about even mosquitoes flying around me. It's almost like I could tell them, go away, and they did. Of course, I think they liked the blood of that meat eater that's sitting next to me instead of me. But it changes you, and in a very positive way. And why I get so excited and why I'm so passionate about this is because I've done it myself and I've seen what it's done to me. And then I've had the privilege to share it with thousands of people and see what it's done to them. And I know that if everyone could experience what we've experienced, what I've experienced, and all the people I've helped and talked with experience, I know that if this whole planet could experience that, it would transform everything in our society. We would no longer have educational institutions that were feeding us a bunch of lies so we couldn't figure out how to be the best that we can be. Another video you guys need to watch if you haven't seen this yet is the Norman Dodd interview. You have to realize that the small group of people who own and control everything, they control our educational systems. They control what our historians learn. That's what Norman Dodd pointed out. But it doesn't stop with historians. They want history to repeat itself, so we don't really know what happened last century. But they're going to control what doctors know. They're going to control what nutritionists know. They're going to control what anthropologists know. They're going to control what philosophers know and theologians know. Any logic, science. There's a reason why Einstein came out of nowhere and came up with those papers. He didn't write those papers, folks. Those are plagiarized. Einstein was put there for one reason, and that's to take the focus off of the works of Maxwell and Tesla. So, there's a reason why we're not living up to our potential on this planet. And the sickest of us that are in control of this are a reflection of us. And there's only one way to defeat these people, is to realize they are a reflection of us. Makes things easy, doesn't it? All we got to do is change. And it's not going to happen unless we reach the tipping point. We're getting closer every day. More and more people are waking up to a plant-based diet. Then they're going to wake up to a fire-free diet. And the day our planet can wake up to a fire-free diet, ow, woo, we're in for a treat.